2024 was a year that we just all lived and existed and watched films in, and I'm going to talk about those films and rank them in order. Not all of them, I didn't see all of them. Yeah, I've got my letterboxd account up here. That might be revoked after you found out that I only watched 16 films last year, but hey, I tried my best. Okay, let's just talk about these films and let's stop being like weird and dry. Megalopolis, Megalopolis is a terrible film. This film gets chucked a bone a lot, for being like bold, I guess, or like brave, and the only reason we're doing that is I guess it's directed by Francis Ford Coppola, so we're meant to like be like, oh well, I mean, you got to give it credit. Do we have to give it credit? It was a terrible film that I watched in the cinema completely on my own. I hate every character in it. There's nothing redeeming about it. I myself made a video titled Megalopolis is a work of art, and in many ways it is, because it's like this painting you stare at. You don't quite understand it. Is it ugly? Would I hang that in my home? What's it trying to say? And you stare deeper and deeper and deeper into it, and you question all these things about it. And it's like, if your daughter came home and showed you a finger painting that looked just as confusing, let's be honest, we wouldn't even put it on the fridge. Because this is by an esteemed artist, you know, it's requiring all of this, you know, breaking down. Alright, the next three films I have, I'm actually going to say in order at the same time, because they're all considered good films. Inside Out 2, DD, and The Outrun. I have a similar issue with all these films, and they all boil down to I find them boring. I just find Inside Out 2 boring. I don't care about Riley. I don't care about this mechanical sort of world in her head. I don't care about her little islands. Her personality island should be full of nothing, because this girl has no personality. She's just emotions that occasionally split out of her. We barely even see her in these films. We just watch the emotions rattle around up there. I think Pixar gets a lot of credit for like being deep sometimes and like making people cry, and they've kind of building a little bit of a brand off that. And I kind of see through that when I watch the film. I don't think they're really saying anything that crazy. I know I can hear you shouting at me. It's a kid's film. I just think the film, all in all, is just kind of boring. I watched it at home, is one thing I will say, and that is for all three of these films, which I definitely do give films slightly higher scores, I've noticed, when I do see it in the cinema. But I was watching it at home, and I did find myself just clicking that little right arrow, aka skip forward 10 seconds, skip forward 10 seconds, skip forward 10 seconds. DD, I just found it boring. I don't like the main character, and I understand these are tropes of coming-of-age stories. You're probably not going to like the main character, they're flawed, and there's not too much going on in a coming-of-age story. But then again, I've seen a lot of coming-of-age stories, and I like a lot of coming-of-age stories. Why don't I like this one? It's doing something wrong. I'm maybe not intelligent enough to tell you what it is. It's not doing something wrong, that's not a fact I'm saying, that's just an opinion of mine. But I didn't love DD, and maybe it's because I watch stuff that's like a nostalgia, it's set in a particular era all the time, but I don't remember the 90s. You know, I wasn't alive in the 80s and stuff, so like when it's doing all these things, these little references, it just washes over me. I don't care, it's like watching any other film. But this one, I actually do remember the 90s, and I'm just like, I'm not saying it's incorrect, but it just was not something that was really tickling my taint at all. Going up from there, we got The Outrun, and there's just nothing for me to say. This one is just outright boring to me. It's just dry, man. Saoirse Ronan's trying her best to get her Oscar, and she's doing a good job. But the film is just like, it's boring. I don't visually really like it. Like, not that the cinematography is bad or anything. It's just like, it's not interesting to me. Like, the color palette of the film is not appealing to me. The only interesting thing they try is like to tell it out of order, because it feels like that's the go-to thing to do if your film's a little bit dry. And even that just kind of felt useless to me. And yeah, these films didn't blow me away. Now, I'm going to blow you away. That's not an innuendo, that's just me saying I'm going to say something that's going to shock you. Because above those three films, they're all considered good, I have Venom, The Last Dance. And here's probably the cinema bias. I saw it in the cinema, and that probably helped a little bit. With like, it's a terrible film. You know, got that Sony sauce, you can call it. It's not. I didn't say it was a good sauce. There's so much stuff that probably doesn't make sense, and plot holes, and it's just ridiculous. And then they got, it looks like a Beats commercial at the end when they're doing a little montage and he's walking down the street. But I don't know, it's like kind of charming. When they're in the van and they're singing, it's like kind of charming at that point. And I don't know. It was just easier for me to get through it, essentially, than the ones below it. And if you want a list of the best films out of the 16 I saw, you can probably find one on IMDb. But this is just opinions, and I can't change those, unfortunately. I'm just as angry about it as you. Just missing out on the top 10 is Twisters. It's fun. I think everything from here upwards is at minimum fun, and I think even recommendable to the right people. It's just fun watching people get killed, honestly, by twisters, apparently, tornadoes. Glenn Powell's charming as hell. Everyone else is doing a fine job. It just goes down easy. It's your quintessential, like, 6.5, 7 out of 10. What is there to complain about? Deadpool and Wolverine, great. This is really painting me in a terrible light. I'm in no way saying, by the way, just to clarify, that films that have above certain other films are better. It's just what I got through easier and liked more. Deadpool Wolverine's fun, man. Maybe it doesn't age too well, but it's pretty fun, man. And there's cameos and stuff, and not even ones that like I'm incredibly nostalgic about, but you know, I think there's decent action in this film. There's sure some shaky moments. People have kind of like burnt down to the tip of the match. That's not a phrase, I've just completely tried to make something up down the spot. With Ryan Reynolds, cool. I didn't even feel anything massively for the first two Deadpool films. Deadpool and Wolverine, I went in, I walked out pleasantly surprised. Starts on a high, little dancing, little was it Timberlake? Who was it? NSYNC? Who was it? Hugh Jackman's doing great work here. I mean, it is like the Marvel equivalent of like The Greatest Showman. No one's saying it needs to win Oscars, but it's fun. It's fun. It's doing the right things. It's fun. This one ain't, but it's better. The Apprentice. It's great. It's Sebi Stan showing he's a fantastic actor. He doesn't. The brilliant thing is he doesn't even have to do like the voice really, and it's like it's an amazing embodiment, and it's great just to sort of watch him purse his lips like this and just sort of eat food and get fatter and do heinous crimes until it isn't, and the film gets more serious since the time jump, and all of a sudden, you know, we have to have the repercussions of the actions of the first half of the film, which is a hard, tough watch. But it's necessary. Jeremy Strong's doing great work here. I love when he does this with his hand. It's great. And I've got the Wild Robot. Again, like, the Wild Robot's good. But, I don't know. It doesn't really elevate more than just being a kid's film for me. And maybe it's the good score that elevates it for other people, or like the soundtrack. That's like a similar thing, I guess. Maybe it's the voice acting or the art style. But I don't know. It's a cutesy film for everyone. Well, again, I can't see anyone walking in and going, "Oh, that was bad. That didn't do the thing that it was meant to." It's above Venom at least, which, you know, a good 4 films can't say that. Wicked, it's wicked for the last 40 minutes. The rest of it, it's fine. People are given that defying gravity drug and they walk out and they're literally levitating and they think it's the best film they've ever seen. And maybe they think that because that's just their genuine opinion, and that's fine. People can have different opinions, clearly. You've watched as far as you have. Obviously it's flat and it's ugly and the colours are bad and it's flat and the director's an insane person for saying otherwise. And lying, quite frankly, gaslighting me. But those last 40 minutes are really good. God blimey, it's Blitz. I'm in the same area, I guess, where the film is building its sets and taking place and stuff, and I'm jumping on the train and it's the same train that the characters were sleeping under in the film, and it probably helped immerse it a little bit more. And ultimately, technically it's good. Production design, costumes, like, it's doing the right things. Saoirse Ronan's giving a great performance. I get it's a bit boring. I get people love Steve McQueen and they expect a higher level of art or whatever they expect. Blitz is, I feel like it's just a bang. It's a solid punch on the nose film. 7.5. I don't know, it's like it's like, if films started getting made like today, this would be considered a masterpiece. But it's just the fact that we've seen so many war films now, we've seen so many films. Like, yeah, I get it. It's a repetitive formula. This film is not doing anything new or creative. I get that. But I guess I just haven't seen as many films as other people. Because for me, I'm like, it's good. We Live in Time should be paint by numbers, but it's not. You've got powerhouse actors in there. Really, really elevating it. You've got the stoic Florence Pugh with the more heart on the sleeve, Andrew Garfield, and they're just going at it. It's sugar and spice and everything nice. It blends together perfectly. They take scenes that are usually monotonous, usually cliche, and they flip them on the head. They do little creative little things. And this is a film that should be an aggressive 5, and it's not. It's teetering on 8. I'll give it credit for that. There are some real cathartic scenes in this, and my 5th favourite out of 16. A different man. Yeah, Sebi Stan's in it twice. He's doing great work, and the different man's great. So good. The concept is so good. It's just like, who thinks of that? Who thinks of that? It's a disgusting, gritty little world they create, and in the sort of the way the film looks and how you feel boxed into it all, and just his body language, the way it's shot and the way and the zooms in. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful in how ugly it is. I'm talking about how it's shot, not Sebastian Stan's prosthetic face. It just needs a better ending. So many films are like this great concept. They just unravel. They just go a little bit too crazy. On the count of 3 is one. Baby Driver's another one for me like that. And this just sort of needed a great ending. I was sitting there watching it like, after these last 30 minutes are at least like of a certain level. This might be my favorite film of the year. Just didn't. I will say now, I didn't have a 5-star film this year, which I don't know if that speaks to this. It was a good year. It was a good year for movies. I don't know if that's speaking to a sad soul or 3 is Bird, Barry Keoghan. Nakia, one of the two, Adams. I'd say it might be my favourite soundtrack of the year. It's just a weird assortment that just kind of works. The intro's great, the first like 10 minutes are great. Barry Keoghan's weird and great. The drug toad, he's doing fantastic work for a toad. And it's just a weird environment set in Kent. Sort of, it was like a familiar environment. Not an environment I've ever lived, but just it felt lived in and real and tangible. It's a bit weird. It's, you know, it's a little bit, you know, oh, they're making some choices in this. They're making some choices. And that guy's weird, and it's a bird. Oh, it's called Bird. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But the heartful moments they hit, and I think they work, and at the train station, I love a little airport dash type thing. I'm a sucker for that. And the experience watching Bird, I went to one cinema. I'm sitting in the back. A couple people come in who clearly don't really care about the film. They're just like, they're talking throughout the film, which I guess is like bad, but like if you're going to talk and they're reacting about things that are happening, they're talking, like that's annoying, but I'm like, okay. But they're just like talking about like personal dramas or whatever. And I just left after 5 minutes, got on a train for 45, then a 10-minute walk to a different one that was playing like an hour later, watched it there. So there was real legwork being put in to watch this. Maybe that sort of prep made me feel like I had to like it. Don't know, but it's my third favourite. Zendaya is in both of these top two. Challengers, Don Pato, Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, Mike Face. They're all great. They were doing great work. They're all doing great stuff. Zendaya's heinous and evil, and the tennis and how it's shot and the score, and just the film looks nice. It's like an interesting little story. Like it's original. Upon me is like, oh, Challengers should be number one. It's like Doom Part 2 is a part 2. It's not even got an original name. But Doom Part 2 is such a feat. When you think about like how weird the stories of Doom, we cannot forget how weird it is. They're making it work somehow on screen, and that's like impressive. And I like what Charlamagne's doing as Paul Atreides. The worms are crazy. I wasn't even really taken out by Christopher Walken like other people were. It's unconventional. I mean, if you talk about Blitz being like, yeah, that is a film doing the beats. I mean, this is not doing that. Like, it's not like a hero's journey. It's like weird, and the love interest, that's not normal. That one's got phrased out, and that's weird. And I mean, they're like talking to a baby in the stomach, like things like that, and the mom's got like everyone in her head, and it's like, it is weird, man. But it's like, it works. Javier Bardem. I mean, how much legwork and extra dosh and like word of mouth did Javier Bardem do for this film? With just how he's delivered all them lines for you know, my debut. I can't deny it. Just because it's a part 2, it's better than the original. And the original I liked. So, I mean, that final 20 of Challengers though is so strong. I mean, it's not like the final 20 of Doom Part 2 is weak, is it now? Yeah, I'm sticking with that. There's nothing you can do about it.